Greetings, ladies and gents, and welcome to this latest edition of Tales from Outer Space, where I take stories from across the internet and read them for your entertainment. This particular story is called The Children of Gaia, written by Captain Candy. We were winning. Earth was going to be burned, and these godless heathens with it. But then, for a few seconds, everything turned still, like a turbulent lake suddenly turning to a still glass mirror. The calm was terrifying. Old instincts I thought my race had long since evolved out of arose from the depths of my very soul. Fear, overwhelming fear, and terror. I was frozen in place as a gentle, feminine voice swept through my mind. No. Through the very fabric of space. It echoes of the star's heliosphere, consuming all of mine and my men's senses. Even the humans froze for a moment, but out of what were clearly very different emotions. As the words, "Who dares harm my children?" echoed through our very beings, the humans had looks of longing, of sadness, hope, relief, reverence, advice. There was a Terran god. We were wrong. I mean, in a way we were right, but we were still wrong. The humans did not and do not have a god. They have a goddess. The instant I heard her voice, I knew her name, her history. I learned of the human history, even they had long forgotten. Forgotten tongues and old rituals came to the forefront of my mind. I suddenly understood them entirely human, Terran. They mean people of Earth, or more accurately, children of Gaia. Gaia, that is the name of their goddess, and she draws no power from prayer or sacrifice or ritual. Her faith is gathered and strengthened by the simple act of humanity living. She is life. She is nature. She is creation and mercy. But much like the weather, once its wrath is unleashed, no force upon a world can tame or stop it except another god. That is when our god, Malchus, god of flight, manifested in order to support us. He charged forward, intent on battling the Sky in single combat. But what happened next? It gripped me with such cold terror that I felt my heart stop beating and my entire body grow cold for a moment. If the human goddess was not still awake and active now after we awoke her, I swear that it was but an illusion. The earth split open. A crack half the planet in length and hundreds of miles in width appeared, and out flew a blue and green-skinned woman. Her hair was green, like lush grass, with flowers interwoven through it. She wore a robe of twisted vines and held in her hand a spear of bone as she slowly stepped forwards from the depths of the earth itself. Once she was free, the earth sealed itself once more, the crack gone as if it never was. And then she swept her gaze across the solar system. For the fraction of an instant where her eyes fell upon my ship, I felt an indescribable urge to fall to my knees and apologize. Not beg for forgiveness or ask mercy or to fight or to even run. I saw the pain in her gaze, felt the pity, the sorrow at having to take more life. When her eyes stopped on our god, Malchus, he froze. He held her gaze and he wept. He fell to his knees and wept, apologizing over and over again to Gaia, a god of combat, a god of war, of slaughter and hunt, weeping and apologizing to a goddess like he was confessing his sins. That was when Gaia spoke once more. Rise. Your wrongdoings are not your own, simply a consequence of your own nature. I will not harm your children. This is the mercy I grant to you. I hate killing. I detest it with my whole being. Nothing disgusts me more. It is a part of nature, a part of myself, and it is sometimes necessary for survival. To go forward and live, sometimes others must die, but this is not killing with malice. That is simply life. What you do is war, violence for the sake of it, blood for the sake of it, murder for the sake of it. Your children will live, but your Malchus would fall here and now. Had you not harmed my children, I would have given you a place here in my garden, allowed you to become a new star for my children to worship and to admire. But now I must fell you, and your form shall not even become that of a planet. I have slewn many other gods that tried to claim dominion over my children. Look closer at the fourth planet of Mars, Malchus, and you will know the truth of my words. I hate killing, but for you, it'll just be life. It was at this point that another god appeared by Gaia's side. He was bright, seemingly made of fire and light itself. The fabric of space seemed to want to melt around him. Yet it seemed as though he was lowering his own temperature in reverence of Gaia. A god showing reverence to another. This is simply unheard of. Gaia glanced at the new god and shook her head, saying, Helios, I thank you for your offer, but much like with Mars, this must be done myself. Then it was to set an example to not harm or attempt to warp humanity. Now it shall be set that example once again, simply on a much, much larger scale. This time I will be telling every god in creation that my children are not to be touched. You always tried to stop my wrath and spare me from myself in the killings. But in the wars you always took the final blow from me. I understand your love, your loyalty to me, Helios. You have watched our children well. I'm the mother, yes, but you, Helios, are undoubtedly the one most akin to their father. Thank you, but this must be done by myself. Once this is over, we'll wake the others. It is time for humanity to remember us, all of us, their mother, father, and many aunts and uncles. I also believe it is time we give them back their unity, and their powers as well, that we long since revoked from them. But first, Malchus, you must be dealt with. With that, our kneeling god was stabbed through the heart by Gaia's bone spear. The goddess then gently nodded to Helios. Helios in turn raised his hand, palm facing outwards, and shot a ray of fire and light with such intensity that the heat rivaled that of a big bang. Still frozen in fear, I watched all of this, physically unable to look away from it. I watched as my god begged for his very life, was executed with no mercy, and then his body was turned to less than ash. If even a single quark remains of our god, I would be surprised. It is hard to properly put into words the level of power with which he was dismantled. Then Gaia turned to us and seemed to make direct eye contact with me. She vanished from the monitors and reappeared in front of me, not as a giant that could rival the size of a planet, but as a normal human woman. I kneeled with as much devotion as I could muster, motivated by such an overwhelming terror that every crew member in the room winced as they heard my knees shatter from the force and speed in which I put them on the ground. Gaia, seeing this, shook her head and lifted me, my knees heating before I could even register the pain from them breaking. She looked me directly in the eyes as she spoke. You all feared my children and labeled them as godless heathens. You tried to fight them in a war, and even though you all had the numbers, had the technological advantage, had your gifts of magic and psychics and super strength and the like, you still faced collapse until you called your god. I will let you live, all of you, as a show of mercy, and also because I detest killing. I slew Mars, but we have other violent gods who would be more than happy to get my permission to slaughter entire species, drenching the galaxy in your blood. Shiva, the Destroyer, Anubis, a few Mayan gods whose names humanity forgot, but no. This time, I'll let you all live to spread the word. I, Gaia, am the primordial goddess of life. I was here when the universe itself was born, and I planted the seeds of every last living thing in the universe. Despite all of the life that took root and grew, though, I saw no interest in any of it. Humanity, they are different. I personally shaped, grew, and planted them. They are my children. The rest of you are like an infection that I cut off my skin that grew into life without me. Go now, tell the rest of the galaxy. Humanity is guarded by no less than 3 primordial deities. I'm at the top of this food chain. By my side is Helios, and by the 2 of us is Yahweh. Go and tell everyone that humanity you fought was bound. We stripped them of their many gifts long ago because they weren't ready for them yet. They were not gifts we granted either, mind you, but things humanity took themselves and were born with. We have given them back their language. They call it Enotian now, but this language they used is powerful. Enough to give 3 primordial deities reason to step in and strip them of it. Once we return it to them, no longer the fractured nations you fought before. Once we return their language to them, they will have their magic back. They will not be powerless fighters you fought before. Once we return their language to them, they will get their minds back. They will no longer be simple beasts who fought before. Once we give them their language back, the universe will be theirs by simple spoken word. At a whisper, they can split the oceans and their entire world and build towers that pierce the very veil of life. With a level voice, they can grasp the stars and travel the galaxy. With a shout, they can sunder the void and warp the laws. And you all attacked and made them scream out in agony, in desperation, in rage. You made them scream out loud enough that it awoke us, the gods who have slept for millennia. Run, hide, beg for mercy, or pay reparations. It matters not. Their voices will be weak at first, and it'll take them several centuries for it to fully come to them. Even we, the primordial gods, dared not let their voices grow beyond a simple whisper. Now we give it to them once again because they are ready, because you all forced them to be ready. The universe is not yours anymore, nor does it belong to the gods anymore. It belongs to my children now. Flee, warn your other gods, and pray to powers higher than them. Pray to humanity for mercy, and hope they show it, for I've seen them without it, and it scares even I. With that, Gaia disappeared, and I found the courage to order all ships to retreat, to warp out and run away as fast as possible. Now we spread the word, not of any god, but of man. If you see humanity, be kind. Do not do as we have done, for they seek to burn us from reality itself. Few, like me, are sent out and cursed to live in order to spread word of their coming. Show mercy or flee. Those are your options, dear council. Video log of High War Priest Galvan's warning to the council 200 BH before humanity. End of story. I would just like to thank the T5 supporters: Bushmaster 117, Casper Arnholtz, Draxoon WRE, Elijah Silvercross, Gray, John Carrington, and Severin Cerberus. Thank you very much.